debt is the closest thing the modern society has to slavery. And this is because debt makes poor people poorer and rich people richer. The majority of people, 99% of the population, do not understand the difference between a bad debt and a good debt. The longer you hold on to bad debt, the longer you keep those credit card accounts lingering around, the more interest you will accumulate and the deeper you're getting in a rabbit hole. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you guys how you can pay a loan or how you can pay a credit card of, let's say, 10,000 Rand fast. And I'm using 10,000 Rand because it's kind of like an average of what people have in debt. So you can actually use these tips to pay any amount. Like, I have a video that I shared about a couple of years ago on how I paid over 100,000 Rand of credit card debt using the tips that I'm going to share with you today. If you are new to this channel, my name is Agnes. On this channel, I share my journey to financial independence, and I've had so much success paying off debt and building an emergency fund. So if this is your thing, please hit that subscribe button, turn the notification on, because I do post the video almost twice a week. Let's get into the video. Okay, so I've broken this down into 8 steps, and let's start with step 1. Step 1 is that you have to face the reality. You need to know your number. You need to know exactly how much you are owing. So for the longest, when I think about myself, for the longest amount of time, I used to hide away from even opening my statement. I was petrified to even open my account statements, and this is because I was just afraid to face my reality. So I thought that if I could just avoid opening those statements, I would feel better. My mind did feel okay for a short period of time, but that debt did not go anywhere. So you avoiding to open that credit card statement or that account statement won't help you in anything. You need to face it. You need to face it with confidence. Open that bank statement or that credit statement. Know exactly how much you are owing. If you have multiple accounts, then make sure that you open all of them. You write them down. You need to know that big number. You need to know the total. There's 3 things that you need to know. The first one is that you need to know the outstanding debt. How much exactly are you owing across all your accounts? You write that down. Then you need to know the interest. How much interest are you paying? And then followed by the minimum payment. The minimum monthly payment. These 3 things are super important. So, and one thing that I see people do is that they will just know how much they're owing, but they won't really look at the interest. It is crucial for you to know how much interest you are paying, because this can actually help you to choose which method you can follow. The tip for this step is that once you know exactly how much you owe, it's time to create a clear picture of how much this debt is costing you. So let's say, for example, if your credit card is charging you 20%, if your credit card is charging you 20% annual interest, then for a 10,000 credit card or a 10,000 account, you are paying 2,000 Rand on interest. So if this is your case, then you can then choose which method you are going to use. You want to finish paying this debt quickly so that you can reduce the amount of interest you are paying, or you are just going to pay it within that timeline that we're given. So it's super important to know those 3 things: how much you're owing, what the interest is, and the minimum monthly repayment. So that is step 1. Now let's move to step 2. Paying off debt quickly requires that you set a timeline. You just can't sit and tell yourself that I'm planning to pay this debt as soon as possible without having a timeline. You need to know exactly how long is it going to take you to pay that debt. So let's say, for example, for 10,000 Rand debt, you can say that you're going to pay it off in 6 months or 8 months or 12 months, whatever you want, depending on your financial situation, whatever you can afford. Then let's say you want to pay it in 6 months, then you're going to divide the 1,000 by 6, which means you'll have to make a payment of 1,670 every single month. And then you will have to pay more if you want to account for the interest. So let's say if you want to cut down on interest, then you'll have to pay more than 1.6. But then having this timeline makes things easier for you. Now let's move into step 3. So step 3 is all about budgeting and cutting expenses. So now you know how much you're owing, you have your timeline. You now have to find money everywhere. You need to find money from your expenses. You need to find money out of anything so that you can just accelerate on paying this credit card. The things that you'll have to look into are, like, for example, you have to cut out non-essentials like eating out, subscriptions. All those are not a necessity. You can cook at home. You can just watch free videos on YouTube. You don't have to pay for Netflix if you're trying to pay off your debt. So cut down those unnecessary expenses. Then you also need to delay luxury purchases. This one is especially for us ladies. Like, if you are trying to pay off your debt, then there's no reason for you to go get your nails done. There's no reason for you to pay 1,000 rand on your hair. It doesn't make sense. So cut out on those luxury purchases. The longer you hold on a debt, the deeper and deeper you're getting onto that rabbit hole. So you need to make sure that you get rid of it as soon as possible. So that nice wig can wait. And then also just try to look for ways to save on essentials. So things like groceries, try to find cheaper alternatives. It's just for sometimes. Utilities, cut down on how much you are using. This could simply mean switching off lights when you're not using them. So just make sure that you find this extra money that are just going onto these places where they're not supposed to be going. The tip here is that small sacrifices today can lead to massive relief down the line. So if you can pay an extra 200 or extra 500 towards that debt, it will make life a lot easier. Step number 4 is now that you need to choose what method you are going to use to pay this debt. Is it going to be an avalanche or a snowball method? Personally, I love the snowball method because it gives me that motivation. I do have a video on explaining these two types of methods. I will link it up just so that you can watch it if you want to. But I like the snowball method. But if you're someone who has super high interest debt, then you have to consider something like an avalanche method, where you are tackling the debt that has a high interest so that you don't have to pay all that extra money on interest. In this example, since we're using this 10,000 rand example, then it's just one debt. Then you just need to make sure that you are paying more than the minimum. You are throwing all your extra money on this loan or this credit card so that it can just get out of the way as soon as possible. Okay, and then step number 5 is that you have to earn extra income. You will need extra income to speed up the process. So for some people, for the majority of the people, they are only living on basic necessity. They don't even have all this luxury to eat out or buy all these luxury items. So if this is you, then the only way for you to pay this debt, for you to pay this 10,000 rand quicker, is to earn more money. So you need to look into different ways on how you can make a little bit more money. If they don't give you a raise at your job, then you need to maybe think about a part-time job or do some side job, a gig, a side hustle, sell things that you are no longer using. Like, I remember once, after we moved from a 2-bedroom apartment to 1-bedroom apartment to like a bachelor, I had a lot of stuff that I knew wouldn't fit into my apartment. And so what I did was we just sold most of that stuff. So if you look around in your home, you will find that you have things that you are not using or that you do not need. Sell them, get that extra money and put it towards paying that debt. And also things like driving Uber, driving Bolt, freelancing online. All those are ways that you can easily make money. Obviously, you need a car to drive for Uber, and you need like a laptop and internet to be a freelancer. So if you have those things with you, then you have a competitive advantage over other people. Let's say you're earning like an extra 1,500 from a side hustle or a side gig, then you can reduce the timeline of paying 10,000 rand in 5 months instead of 12 months. So just every little bit, even it doesn't have to be 5 months, it can even be 7, 8, you are still saving on interest. And then step number 6 is super important. You need to stop using your credit card, because the more you're using it, a credit card is a revolving type of credit. So when you pay it, you have the ability to use that money again. And this is what really caught up with me, because I will have a plan, I'll pay my credit card, but the fact that I kept on using it, I wasn't going anywhere. It was like I was just running around the circle. So you need to make sure that you stop using your credit card. Some tips says that you can consider leaving it at home. Once that there's no balance on that credit card, then you can either close it, which I don't really advise, because when you close it, then it reduces your credit score. But if you have other things that can really help your credit score stay high, then you can consider closing that credit card. But again, I don't advise doing that. So you need to discipline yourself now. Once you've paid it off, you need to discipline yourself on to only use it when it's really a necessity, or to only use it when you know that you will have money to pay it back. And then step number 7, the other thing that you can do is to either transfer the balance to a new loan that that has a smaller interest, or to negotiate interest rate with your current financial institution. It's really tough to get a new loan that has a lower interest, because this also will depend on your credit score and other factors. But if you can do that, let's say you have an FNB credit card that is charging you 20%, and then you do qualify for a net bank credit card of the same amount that is only charging you 15% on interest, then you can take out that net bank and then pay the money to FNB, and then only focus on paying the net bank, because then you would save on 5% interest. Or even you negotiate with your bank, which in most cases I don't even think you would get a lower interest, but if that's something worth trying. And then the last step is to automate your payment. Again, when you make something in automation, when you don't have to think about doing something, chances are that it will get done. The only time an automation won't work of bank transfer is if there's insufficient fund in the account. But as long as there's money into that account, that automation will happen. That transfer will happen without you even thinking about it. So you need to make sure that you need to set up automatic payment for more than the minimum amount. That's it. Those are the 8 steps that you can take to pay off a 10,000 credit card as soon as possible. And if you are serious about paying off any amount of debt, any amount of credit card debt, then these steps will help you to control your finances. Let me know in the comments how you're tackling your debt. And please don't forget to subscribe.